right, guys, welcome back. This is Of Stone and Clay, episode 87. We are with Ben Reneer today. Ben is a musician, a yogi. Yes?
Yes.
You also do, you build houses, yes?
I have yet to build a house from start to finish,
Okay.
but I bought this fixer-upper a few years ago.
You do contracting?
It's just DIY stuff.
Okay.
Like no one's hired me to do anything for them.
Got you, but you're a handy boy.
I'm a handy boy.
Okay.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, yeah, the main reason I had, we'll say 2-3 reasons I had you on, wanted to have you on. I've had multiple people tell me, dude, you should have Ben on. He's so smart. He's so interesting. And it sounds a little suspicious. But, and I just love talking to musicians. I love picking their brains. And
yeah, we're weird.
As a writer, I connect with a lot of their creative process. But obviously there's so much that's so different. And I'm not musically inclined, so I'm always curious about that process. When did you initially get into music? When was the creative impetus for you?
I gotta go back to childhood. My mom had me take piano lessons.
Yeah.
And I rebelled. I remember running away from one of my piano lessons.
Yeah.
I hated it, apparently. Yeah. But she was persistent. She won. She won the war.
Is your family musical?
Yeah. Yeah, my siblings all took piano lessons. My dad.
Your sister's a musician too, correct?
Emma. Yeah, she's sung with me on a few songs. I've recruited her, and she's a great singer, great songwriter too. But I'm trying to convince her to do more.
She more does it as a hobbyist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now.
Right. If you're listening, Emma, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started, rebelling against the piano.
And then I guess I realized that I could create my own music, which was way more fun for me. And then I was in high school. Didn't really care about music because I wanted to be an athlete because I thought that would make me cool.
Yeah. Did it?
And it didn't. Well, I mean, I didn't succeed at being an athlete.
Okay.
But even if I had, I don't think I would have found what I was looking for, The
elusive coolness.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm still searching. Then I went on a mission. Also didn't do music on my mission because I couldn't. And then when I came home, picked up the guitar again and found that I had things to say.
Yeah.
I just started writing songs and haven't stopped. So
did it initially feel like you wanted to put music out and pursue it as a vocation, or was it something that you're just like, I don't know, it's in me, I want it to get out?
Yeah, more of that.
Yeah.
I remember my first open mic. It was at the Wall at BYU. I don't know if you ever went to the Wall. It was a sports bar a dry sports bar kind of place that also did open mics. And I think it died. I don't think it's there anymore. But yeah, my first open mic was there. I was terrified. I remember afterwards the relief. I did this thing that scared me. Okay, cool. I never have to do that again. It's like I did it. Yeah. Checked it off. I'll never perform again. But I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a conscious like, I'm going to be a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
For real.
Right. When do you feel like it started to become something that you could comfortably be like, hey, I'm actually good at this, and like these songs are coming to me easier and the process is more enjoyable and more consistent?
When did that happen?
Yeah.
Has it happened yet?
Well, hey, you have what do you have? You have like 3 full-length albums, right?
Yeah, I have been busy.
Yeah.
I think that kind of it's incremental. Like there hasn't been one moment where I'm like, okay, now I'm legit. Now I made it.
Yeah.
But was that your question? Kind of like.
Yeah.
At what point did I?
Or I guess maybe at what point did you take it more seriously and really start to hone in on your craft?
Yeah. Well, music's interesting because there's such a diverse range of crafts to hone in on. Like there's the writing. You could just focus on that.
Yeah.
There's the singing. There's playing your instrument. There's production. What else is there? I mean, there's collaborating. I feel like that's an art form in itself, learning to co-write with people. Then there's the whole business side of things,
marketing of it, yeah. Is there an aspect that you enjoy the most of those?
Not the marketing.
Right. That's most musicians, most artists.
I hate it.
Yeah. It's the artist's dilemma.
I love writing. I also love producing. The past few days I've been working on a couple songs, and it's just so fun to add layers that expand the song in new ways.
Yeah. Do you love performing?
Yeah. I love performing. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more of like, I feel like there's more of an emotional high and low with performing. Like the anticipation and performing's great, and then there's usually some kind of crash after the performance.
Yeah.
You overanalyze how
just
it went.
Just a dopaminergic fallout.
Yeah, that. Yeah. I'm sure that's a factor.
Yeah.
Producing, I guess there's some emotional roller coaster happening with production. Like when I first start to demo a song, I'm usually really stoked. And I think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And then after listening to it 100 times, I think that it sucks.
Yeah.
And then maybe after listening to it another 50 times, I'm somewhere in the middle of being like, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
It's fine. So, I'm ready to get it out there.
So of all these aspects, producing, writing, singing, performing, instrumental stuff, what do you feel like kind of feeds your soul the most? Or is it just all of it together?
Feeds my soul.
Do you feel like that's what it is? Like your soul's being fed?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open to that. Yeah. I'm open to that image.
Yeah.
The writing process is very cathartic. Being able to channel usually negative emotions into something that's hopefully beautiful.
Yeah.
So that feeds my soul in a way. The performing feeds my soul in the sense of creating connections with other people.
Yeah.
Like having people or getting like a message, email or Instagram from someone telling me that my music had some kind of spiritual, emotional, positive impact in their life.
Yeah.
That's super rewarding.
Yeah.
I'd love for it to happen more.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happens at all,
it's kind of addicting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in a healthy way.
Right. Yeah.
It leads me forward. Like my decision to quit my full-time job a year ago was, it was based on having had some success with my music. Like I got a track placed in a TV show. And
what TV show?
The Good Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So that's a big show.
Yeah, that's a huge show. Did that like maybe not instantly, but did that have a huge boost on your total listeners?
Not as big as I was hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, that song went from being streamed like between 10 and 20 times a day, if that even, to solidly 100 times a day, maybe. I think.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So it had an impact, but
validating too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just this little song that I'd written about some really negative emotions and recorded in my little kind of ghetto studio apartment in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Pawtucket?
Pawtucket.
I've been to Pawtucket.
You've been to Pawtucket? Get out of here.
I can't believe that.
What did you do in Pawtucket?
I think I got some lunch.
You got lunch in Pawtucket?
I think so.
They have food there.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So I have been on a quest to go to all 50 states.
Yeah.
And I went on a trip just to like hit some East Coast states. And so we drove through Rhode Island and we just happened to stop there.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the 95.
So. Yeah. So I think we just went to a little diner on the coast and
cool.
That was about it. Yeah.
What time of year was it?
Summer.
Summer, okay. Yeah. It's hot.
Yeah, it was hot. Yeah.
Which summer?
It was like 2017, 2018.
Before me? Yeah, I was there in 2019.
What were you doing in Pawtucket?
I took a job right out of school designing Bluetooth speakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're up in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And so, yeah, I moved up there. They didn't pay me very well, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson.
Okay. So how long were you in Rhode Island?
Just a year, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have stayed longer, but I was in love with this woman, and she lived in Utah.
Oh, okay. Were you in love with her before you left?
Well, we dated before I left, and then that ended. And then I moved, and then we talked a little bit.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. And I was like, I love you. And she was like, nah. And then we stopped talking.
Yeah.
We both dated other people. And then those both ended. And we started talking again. Anyway.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Then it was the right time for some reason.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's so weird how timing plays such a big factor in relationships.
Yeah.
And I mostly hate it. Yeah. But I guess sometimes there's good timing, but not usually.
Yeah. No. Time plays a big factor in everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. I mean, yeah, with your music, like...
Music is time.
I'm sure timing had a huge impact on how or when that song got picked up.
Yeah. And I even mean like on the micro level, like a song is a sequence.
Yeah.
In time.
Yeah.
What would we do without time?
Yeah.
But we're jumping to the afterlife now.
Please.
People have these near-death experiences and talk about like being outside of time. Like what?
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap your head around.
Anyway.
Yeah, do you feel like, and maybe you're pretty consistent, but do you feel like when there's periods where you're not creating music, do you feel a little bit miserable when you're not creating at all? And maybe you find creative outlet in some of your other, in yoga, in your other handyman jobs.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Those things are fulfilling in their own ways. I guess I've been working on music pretty consistently for a while now, so
yeah.
Maybe I would be.
Yeah.
Maybe I would be. Maybe I'm saving myself.
That's good. Yeah, I feel like most artists, like, it's the easiest like medicine to stay happy and stay fulfilled. Like, I mean, you can still be miserable and be making music, but
for sure.
Yeah, but
in fact, I mean, the kind of music I make, it's probably best if I am a little
right. It's predicated on misery.
Depressed, yeah.
Would you say, you said, a lot of your music is based on negative feelings. Would you say most of those are connected to unrequited love or just broken love, broken hearts, mental health stuff? What do you feel like?
Yeah, the basics.
Theme, yeah.
I'm insecure. Where are the girls?
Where are they? It's a geographical issue.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not in Rhode Island, right?
Every day I'm out there with binoculars, just scouting.
Yeah.
The countryside. No females in sight.
Not in a voyeuristic way, but...
No. No, I'm very classy. I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, you are.
Telescope. That
okay,
is less has connotations. I don't know.
So the
Yeah.
find is maybe what often brings you pain
In relationships.
or
Yes.
just in searching for relationships.
Yes. Yes. The find.
Because to me, tell me if you can relate. A lot of the pain I feel in dating is in things almost working out, or in things you get excited about a girl you've been out with 2 or 3 times, and then it perishes by the wayside. Like, those maybe don't hurt as bad as like really serious breakups, but that perpetually happening can weigh heavy on your heart.
Yeah, I don't even get that far though. To all the women watching or listening.
Yeah. Ben is so deeply single.
I'm so single. I've been thinking a lot about the cold approach. Okay, I've never done the cold approach.
Really?
Never.
I'm
a wimp, man.
It's from insecurity or just, lack of practice too.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I believe I could develop. Growth mindset.
Yeah.
But I'm an introvert. It doesn't justify me being a wimp, but
yeah,
that's a factor. An overthinker. And I'm scared of beautiful women. So
they're terrifying.
It's just like I was at the gym yesterday, climbing gym, but they have like a gym section. It's not very busy.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, just me and this cute girl. If you're that cute girl at Momentum in Lehigh on Friday afternoons, I'm sorry that I didn't introduce myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's bugging me.
Do you
need to do something about it?
Do you rely on just mutual friends, meeting people organically, dating apps?
I've tried the dating apps.
You've dabbled in
That's how I met this girl whom I was in love with.
Okay.
Was that the proper use of the word whom? I don't know.
Sure.
And it felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we matched on mutual.
Okay. So you at least have a little bit of faith in the internet.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
But lately, man, I've been on Hinge and
it's been famine.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
I try not to let it affect my self-esteem.
Yeah.
But it's like
it's tough.
I don't think I'm hideous. and I do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I make some cool music.
Yeah.
And I have some masculine qualities.
Sure.
Like, where are they? What's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the cold approach thing that's driving me crazy because I know that's where I'm weak.
Yeah. The cold approach is tough. For myself, like, I try to have a smaller goal with the cold approach. Like, if I see a cute girl and I'm like, there's an opportunity to talk to her, instead of having like, okay, I need to get her phone number, I'm just like, let me go see if talking to her is a horrible experience. Let me just go open my mouth and see what happens. And a lot of times I'll talk to them and I'll be like, I don't even want their phone number,
Yeah.
But then you go home and you feel better about yourself,
right?
Yeah. And listen, I've gotten so many phone numbers that it was like pulling teeth, like, but it's helped me.
You mean for them? Like they didn't want to give it to you, or for you to?
It just wasn't as smooth as I'd hoped.
Sure.
Or wasn't as like, it didn't feel super receptive. But I'm like, I'm here. I might as well shoot my shot.
Yeah.
I'm already talking to her. But yeah, I've had some successes too. But I think a lot of the clunky ones have given me just confidence in approaching.
Right.
Yeah. But
repetitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to help me sometime? We'll go work the streets.
Yeah, we can go
practice our game or whatever.
Yeah, we can hit the doors. Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Kyson and I used to go knock on doors with our guitars to advertise for shows.
Oh, wow.
Which was a great way to meet people.
Yeah. When I was like 23, me and my buddy were like best friends from high school. We were overly confident as a unit.
Yeah.
And we would go to apartment complexes and just knock on girls' doors just to talk to them.
Wow.
And we had no
gutsy.
We had nothing going for us.
Bet they love that though.
Some did, some didn't, you know. Sure. And we had some ruses, you know. Mm-hmm. We would say like, yeah, we're thinking about moving in, and we just wanted to like see the vibe around here, and like, anyways, it was stupid, but yeah, it got us comfy.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like you've at least had one horrible breakup in your life.
Yeah, it was hard. It was
brutal.
It was painful.
How long were you guys together?
On and off. We'd known each other for a couple years. Is that right? I don't know.
But substantial.
It was a substantial amount of time. And the second time we dated, it was 9 months, I think.
Okay, yeah. What for you is the absolute worst part about a breakup or the heartache?
The worst part. Let's see. Well, now that I've had time to process, it's like I can only think of lessons I learned, which are positive things. Yeah. But in the moment, it's very jarring to your identity. Like maybe that's my answer. The hardest part is that it's not just the loss of a relationship with someone that you loved. It throws chaos into your life because you don't really know who you are anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a necessary thing to go through.
Yeah.
To grow up, to have to be presented with that, and then try to figure out more clearly who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate it. I wish it didn't have to be that way. Mm-hmm. I think for me, along with that, is just feeling like, okay, we broke up for whatever reason, but ultimately, like, if she would have liked me more, we would have just stayed together, right? Like,
she would have liked me more?
Yeah.
Huh, yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Because a lot of times it comes down to, at least for me, it's come down to, like, just feeling like we're not compatible enough, or that we have different goals or different lifestyles or whatever. But to me, it feels like, yeah, but if you were a little more crazy about me, like, these other things wouldn't matter. And so it feels deeply personal. I guess it is deeply personal. But
maybe it's a pheromone thing. Maybe they just don't like the way you smell.
Well, that's
subconsciously.
That's a hard pill to swallow, but maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the stats are biologically. Like, how many different types of biologically compatible people are there, and like, what are the chances that a girl you like,
I don't know,
that her genetics and yours would be a good combination, and she would therefore find your worn t-shirts
right,
attractive smelling.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
A lot of factors.
Do you feel like there are certain things that you're looking for in a relationship that are on the forefront of your mind? Like, you want this and this and this in a person that you're searching for? Or are you still trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, apparently I'm not very articulate about it, so maybe I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, not a terrible person. Not that, I mean, let me be clear. Not that anyone I've dated was a terrible person, right? But I'm just saying, like, just some basics.
But that's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's a low bar. I guess
take out superficialities, take out like beauty, attraction, maybe prestige or whatever. what is like the most important thing for you? Is it personality? Is it spirituality? Is it just a fierce love for you? Is it loyalty? What do you think?
Honesty comes to mind, I think.
Okay.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Again, the people I've dated have had integrity.
Right, yeah.
But that's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's important. I mean,
openness
I'm a fallen sinner, but I care a lot about truth seeking
mm-hmm.
and eliminating delusion in my own worldview.
Yeah.
And so someone who shares that value,
mm-hmm.
that would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I want to talk books with you.
Okay.
You're a big reader, right?
I pretend to be.
You pretend to be?
I aspire to be a reader. Reading it's like being someone who gets up early. I like the idea of
you like it in theory.
I like it in theory.
Yeah, yeah. In theoretically, what are some of your favorite authors or books?
Well, I do love C.S. Lewis. I just started rereading Mere Christianity.
Okay. I just recently, I kind of was stubborn and was like, oh, he's quoted so much, I'm annoyed by it. And so I never read any of his books. But gotcha. I just recently read The Great Divorce and The Four Loves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
I started the Abolition of Man. Mm-hmm. That one's very, it's more philosophical, and it references so much other literature that I'm not familiar with, that it was hard to get into. I'll finish it at some point.
Yeah.
The Problem of Pain. Have you read that one? That one's very, very philosophical and kind of technical. And yeah, he's got his novel style, the Chronicles of Narnia. Those are cool. And then his more theological stuff, like Mere Christianity. The Great Divorce is kind of a cool mix of being a narrative and also
kind of allegorical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good thinker.
Yeah, he his little tiny books, as they often are surprisingly dense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pack a punch.
Yeah.
I really love Billy Collins' poetry.
Okay.
I don't know if you read a lot of poetry, but
I read a little bit of poetry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get you some Billy Collins.
Really? Okay.
He's great.
Yeah.
Very accessible. It's not this highfalutin academic stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they're thoughtful and clever, and I like them. Billy Collins.
Yeah.
Ray Bradbury. That's another guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've read just Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
451.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. His stories are very, very interesting, but also his writing is just fun to read.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really creative imageries. What am I trying to say? Metaphors. I should know my terms. I took AP Lit in high school.
Okay, good.
He just paints some nice pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like as a musician that's in songwriting, that's kind of a goal for you as well?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I aspire to paint a picture more than just say stuff.
Right.
I like images.
Yeah.
I like interesting metaphors that can have multiple interpretations.
Yeah. I actually wrote down this line from one of your songs that I really liked, and I wanted to know kind of where this thought came from.
All right.
And if this is something that, because you pose this question in the song Senseless, which I love.
Thank you.
By the way, you say, where do you go when it feels like you'll never be enough?
Yeah, it's not my best. That's one of my very mopey.
Yeah. Well, I like mopey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I connect with mopey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. People connect with mopey. You're right.
Yeah.
I should own that. What is it again? Tell me what I wrote.
I'll tell you what you said. Where do you go when it feels like you'll never be enough?
Yeah, that's in the bridge, I think.
Yeah.
Something about hopes falling from a window.
Yeah. Do you feel like do you feel like there is a place you go, maybe a place you go mentally when you feel like you'll never be enough? Or does the feeling of not being enough, permeate your heart at times?
Like me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I did write that.
Yeah. You're the only one I'm talking to.
Yeah, so the idea of enough is kind of vague. Like, what do we mean by enough?
Right. It's like an incomplete sentence almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, am I loved enough? Am I appreciated enough? Am I worthy enough?
Yeah, and how would you even quantify
those
things? So what else does it mean? It's the question. Ultimately, like, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do with the fact that I'm me?
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm stuck inside of this?
Yeah. And is this enough for someone else?
In terms of romance? I mean, yeah, that's what the song's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a question.
Yeah.
And then the other person of interest is also has these sorts of questions if they think.
Right.
And that's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then where do you go? I don't know. I mean, this is all stuff. I don't know if I intended any of this when I wrote this song.
Yeah.
This one, I think this was one that came really quick too. It's like I just wrote it one evening. It like all just like spilled out. But when you're questioning your own identity, where can you go?
Yeah.
Literally nowhere.
Right.
Like you can't get away from yourself.
Yeah, you can't escape yourself. You can try. There's plenty of
Yeah, probably not optimal.
Yeah.
To try to get away from yourself.
Yeah.
Whether that's just distraction or something more violent.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've got me anxious thinking about that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You're like, what did I freaking write here?
Where do you go?
Do you feel like, is there a temptation to escape your reality at times, or do you have means of escaping?
Yeah, I mean there are things that I'm afraid of that I'd rather not confront.
Yeah.
That I would like to escape.
Yeah.
I mean, music is a means of escape. Is it? Wait.
It's
or is it a way of dealing with something?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both, right? Because you're confronting what maybe you don't want to feel or don't want to confront with maybe lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the main thing is it probably gets you out of your mopey state. It gets you out of self-pity because you're inside the act of creativity, and you're focused on the art and not feeling sad.
Yeah.
You're taking the sadness and saying, okay, how can I synthesize this in a beautiful, connecting way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird and cool.
Right.
That process.
Right? Yeah. It's funny for myself, like I can almost tell there's almost this giveaway for myself when I really am starting to get interested in a girl, because I will feel deeply compelled to write about her. And so it's funny, I can go...
Like, what do you write, though?
Well, I want to... And maybe this is me over-romanticizing, okay? Because I'm a huge journaler, and I take my journals very seriously.
Good for you.
And I also write fiction. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, this girl is such like a character in a novel almost, right? Like the way she interacts with people, the way she talks and moves around. She like belongs in a film. She belongs in a story. And then there are times where I'm like, this is me, the over-romanticizing side is where I'm like, okay, if this girl ends up being my wife or something, like I want it documented from the very beginning. You
want a paper trail of how you felt.
And I want to remember the little things. Yeah. You know, I want to remember our first date and how I felt when I got home.
Totally.
And I want to remember like a text she sent that made me flutter a little bit, you know? And so it's funny, I can pretty much tell how interested I am in a girl if I'm writing about her. Yeah. But sometimes I don't even think about that. I'm just like, no, I'm seeing where it's going to go and trying to get to know her and trying to figure it out. And meanwhile, I'm just uninspired, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So your creative tendency is an indicator to you of your feelings that maybe would go unnoticed. Like you're not maybe conscious of the way you feel, but you can reflect on how much you're how much she's inspiring your art.
Yeah. So to speak. Well, you know how when you sit down to write a song, like sometimes what spills out, you're like, I didn't really realize I felt that way. Right? But there's something about putting pen to paper or typing or whatever that kind of, I don't know, jettisons the feelings out of you. Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that way?
I used to. I'm an old, cynical, jaded person now.
You're an old salty dog.
I haven't written about a woman for a while.
Really?
Yeah, not since the last.
Not since the Great Queen of Pain.
The Great Queen of Pain. That was 3 years ago. So
wow.
I've been writing fictional love songs.
Okay. Maybe. Just sort of. Yeah.
Almost imagining the future. And for commercial reasons too. It's like I want my audience to have something happy to be sung to them.
Right.
While they endure stuff like this. Where do you go when you'll never be enough?
But listen, like I said, I think people that enjoy, what would you call your genre besides singer-songwriter?
Well, I introduce it as depressing folk music.
Okay, good.
So, indie folk is kind of the umbrella genre.
Yeah.
I think, although I've done stuff that's more kind of traditional folk, acoustic instrumentation, but I've also explored. I like a lot of 80s pop.
Okay.
I've explored some of that synthesizer stuff, and that's a lot of fun. So, I don't know. Kaysen actually described it as he compared it to the Killers, which was quite a privilege.
Yeah, I love the Killers.
I think I've been told my voice sounds a little like Brandon Flowers. So
okay,
Brandon, if you're out there, a devout listener of Stone,
Ben is willing to collaborate.
I was gonna say I'm willing to take your place if you need a replacement.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, the collaboration. That would be a dream.
Oh yeah.
I have such a man crush.
Yeah,
on Brother Flowers.
I love Brother Flowers.
Brother Flowers, let's hang out.
I wanted to ask you a bit of an existential question. Do you struggle at all with feelings of nihilism or fatalism ever?
I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've been better lately.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the cause for that?
Jordan Peterson.
Really?
I don't know. He's a factor for sure.
I love Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read all his books and everything.
Listening to him, Jonathan Pageau is another guy I really love. Greek Orthodox artist and thinker.
Mm-hmm.
That question is, I feel like it's inevitably connected with the question of God.
Yeah, and faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to kind of think I was an agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had a realization, thanks to people like Jordan Peterson, that if I were to define objective truth, the definition would look very similar to anyone's definition of God. Transcendent, unchangeable. It's the thing that like unites us all. We're all like equal before this objective reality thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I consider myself a theist, because I think objective truth is indistinguishable from the concept of God.
Yeah.
Now, not the concept of God I was raised with.
Mm-hmm.
Like atheists make a great point, I think, in pointing at things in the Old Testament that God commanded or did that are evil. But I think that's a straw man, because at like an assumption that they're making in that argument is that there are objective values, that there's such a thing as good and evil.
Yeah.
And then I look at that fact that there's good and evil as evidence. My definition of God just exists inside of my belief in good and evil.
Yeah.
And I guess to get back to the question you asked, I think that realization is the basis of my faith and the antidote for the real like dark, hopeless nihilism that I have felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
That's sort of a summary of the theological journey I've been on.
Yeah. So presently, what sort of role does God have in your life?
Let's ask him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Him. I mean, I'm fine to gender God. Like, I think there's a reason God is a father.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had this epiphany.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into that later about why God is the father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I kind of distracted myself on a tangent. You asked me,
what is God's role in your life?
What is his role in my life?
Yeah. Or maybe what's your relationship with God?
I am I'm trying to be in an open posture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in the middle of this story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm interested to see where this journey goes. Growing up Mormon,
mm-hmm.
surrounded with this idea that if you pray, God will talk to you.
Yeah.
I believe in prayer, but I don't know if I believe that God will talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just because I've always thought of that very literally.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who will say like God told me, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are that way. That's good for them.
Yeah.
But I also, sorry, my friends that are that way, I kind of think those people are crazy. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just projecting because I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. I can relate where prayer is a huge part of my life, and I think it's really important for me, and my connection with a higher power, a providence. But I don't feel like God is directly conversing with me, right? Like literally, but I do feel him put thoughts into my brain and into my heart, and it's easy to talk yourself out of that and say, well, it's my brain.
Yeah.
Like, pretty sure I conjured that up.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
And I'm sure there's some gray area, right? But I've also had experiences where I'm earnestly, almost desperately praying, and I've felt really, really strong feelings that I didn't feel before the prayer, that I feel during the prayer. And to me, that's God conversing with me. It's not, I don't hear his voice.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that other people don't. I think people have different spiritual gifts. And I think I have the spiritual gift of faith. I think my faith has come fairly easy. Not to say I haven't felt despair and hopelessness and nihilism and all these things, but the faith hasn't really wavered. And it wasn't a wrestle to arrive at faith for me. But revelation and those things sometimes feel like they're not my gift,
But faith is. You feel faith comes easy, but not like the specific revelation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of crazy voices in my head.
Yeah, sure.
And I've said prayers, sincere prayers. I remember in Pawtucket, I was there's this beautiful river that runs through town. I was sitting on a stone wall by the river. And I was a lonely guy. I was struggling. And I was praying, reaching out, asking, why do I exist?
Yeah.
Why am I here? And the answer was horrific. It was like the F word was involved. It was some kind of angry, like evil, dark something. And it's like, okay, so is that God?
Right.
Like, does God answer prayers and that's God?
Yeah.
I would like to talk to a different God, please.
Like, right.
Can you put someone else on?
Yeah.
So yeah, prayer's never been like straightforward for me, and I'm hesitant to start like assigning attribution of those thoughts to anything, because I don't know conclusively.
Right. But like you said, hopefully you're in an open posture, so you're not closed off to those possibilities.
I'm trying as my legs are crossed. Let me literally open my posture.
Yeah.
It's so if God is that objective truth, objective reality, the source of goodness, then I'm on a journey of openness to that. I want more of that.
Yeah.
And just because I believe there's objective morality doesn't mean that I know what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah. I'm searching for goodness and truth, and I have that criteria that like that voice of evil.
Yeah.
That's not God. I'm gonna rule that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the search for God is strange.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where things go.
Yeah. But I do like that that definition of things, like you're open and you're seeking truth. And obviously it's deeply nuanced and we could philosophize about it all night, but
let's do it.
but yeah, that's like a nice reductive way of, approaching it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you exist in the faith definitional?
Yeah.
The world of faith definitions. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, for me, I don't struggle to believe in the things I believe in my dogma, in divine providence. I have questions and I have doubts at times, like anyone. I don't think anyone has perfect faith. That kind of negates the definition of faith. But I think, to me, faith and hope are intertwined. They're the same thing, essentially. They're synonymous. So I try to remember that, because at times when I feel hopeless, I'm like, but I still have faith in this, this, and this. So maybe I'm not hopeless. Maybe I've just defined my state as such. But I like to think that if I have one, I have the other. And so if I find myself without hope and without faith, I'm probably in a pretty dark spot. But I haven't found myself there. I feel, it's funny because I feel the pangs of hopelessness a lot, maybe connected with loneliness, with dating, with relationships. But I still have faith that things will work out. And more recently, I've tried to have faith that things working out aren't necessarily my specific definition of things,
Yeah, it's hard to let go.
Yeah, and
of your own definitions.
Well, and I'm not like letting go and saying, well, I guess I won't, to hell with my definitions, but just being open to, maybe they're not 100% the way things should be or the way things will be. But I can.
But in both cases, it's about truth. It's about holding on to truth or letting go of delusion to find truth. And those are my words, not not brother Clive Staples. But so all you listeners, go read those chapters.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. We were talking a little bit off air, but I'd love to hear a little bit more of your thoughts. You were talking a little bit about conforming and non-conformity and our self-definitions. What are kind of your thoughts around those things? It feels like you've spent some time thinking about.
Yeah, well, shout out to Tommy. I don't know if I'm breaking the fourth wall here.
The fourth wall can be broken. Tommy's our producer and our dear friend.
He's great. But yeah, he reminded me of a conversation that we had. I was sharing an idea from Jennifer Finlayson Fife, who is very cool, that to conform or to rebel, either way, you're letting yourself be controlled by someone else.
Yeah.
And the ideal, if you want to grow and develop as a person, is to self-define, to determine who you want to be.
Yeah.
Independent of other people, which is really hard. I mean,
because you always conform in some little way.
Yeah.
Or rebel in some little way.
Right.
Like the idea of like, this idea that like a teenager like getting tattoos or piercings or like listening to explicit music or whatever, drinking alcohol is rebelling. It's like, they're also conforming with all their friends.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe they are being perfectly self-defined.
Yeah.
And I just don't know because I'm not in their head.
Right.
And that's the tricky thing is I don't even know for myself. Like, I want to be self-defined. I mean, particularly in this, in my faith journey. I'm done with Mormonism, the religion I grew up in. But am I just doing that to rebel? Like, is it a part of me that just, do I want it to not be real because, so that I can say I told you so?
Yeah, so you can rebel.
Yeah.
Or conform with the other
other side or whatever.
Yeah.
So I try to be conscious of my own intentions, but I don't know if it's possible for us to be like fully aware of why we do what we do and to know that we're doing it, to know that we're acting totally untethered from social family pressure.
Yeah.
And the programming we received as a child in our impressionable years,
Yeah.
But we try. It's the journey.
Yeah.
Trying to be more truthful, more self-defined, not reactive.
Yeah, yeah. I love Jordan Peterson talks about how a lot of times couples become somewhat stagnant because they feel like, after years, like, oh, we know everything about each other. We've done everything together. Like, there's no spontaneity. There's no surprises. And he's like, you don't even know that much about yourself, like, let alone your partner. And I thought that was such a cool reminder, like, because, you think, oh, like, I know all their habits and all the things they like to do and their predictable patterns of speech. But, like, if you really dig deep into yourself, you're like, there's a lot about me I don't know or understand.
He's not wrong.
And, so I love that in, like, for yourself, but also for relationships, to be like, okay, the person I'm with is this ever-evolving mystery, and I have the chance to always continue to uncover layers and get to know them better.
Yeah.
And I think any other, like, attitude is just incorrect.
Wait. Of self-development.
Well, any other attitude, meaning, like, if you think I've got my partner figured out.
Yeah.
Or I know them in and out. I know everything about them, everything I could know about them. I think that's an incorrect posture.
Yeah, fair. I think that has me realizing that, like, why Jordan Peterson talks about how telling the truth will create such an adventure. It will turn your life into, like, the greatest adventure you can imagine.
Yeah.
Because in so many ways we're unwilling to confront the truth, that when we do, it reveals to us how much we don't know about ourselves or our partner.
Yeah.
And it leads us on this path of discovery and development and uncertainty and whatever else.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, just a few more questions and we'll wrap up. I wanted to read this quote to you and get your thoughts.
Cool.
Okay. It's by Paul Bowles.
Never heard of him.
Me neither.
Does he make bowls?
Does he make
silverware?
I literally don't know, but I follow this Instagram account called Niche, Nitch, and they basically just have quotes from artists and writers, musicians, filmmakers, and they're always
so he's an artist.
So good, of some sort.
Let's hope he makes pottery.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
it's Bowles, but
Bowles.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
But still, so
close enough.
Paul Bowles says
bowels.
Yeah, maybe it's bowels. We'll say Paul. Paul B says, because we don't know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. Yet everything happens a certain number of times, and a very small number, really.
Oh, shit.
How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? Some afternoon that's so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it. Perhaps 4 or 5 times more. Perhaps not even. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20. And yet it all seems limitless.
I hate that. How dare you? How dare you try to shatter my illusion of immortality?
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, this quote, kicked me square in the jaw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to hear besides you.
That's a flexible leg.
Yeah.
Get up to your jaw.
Besides your expletives, what are your
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Listen, I was listening to your other podcast, and people said the S word.
Yeah, people said it. It's been said.
I said it.
Yeah. I said it. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Why did that feel a little bit jarring?
Yeah, we like to think that we'll be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know from observing those who've come before that we'll die.
Yeah.
It's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah.
Is it just cynical to say that that's a false assumption, or is there a reason? Let me say it this way, the faithful part of me,
Mm-hmm.
This is probably a thought placed in my head from some religious person, but the faithful part of me thinks, maybe this assumption that things will go on forever is an indication that there is an afterlife in which somehow this sort of experience will be restored and continued.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where our longings and assumptions come from. But I also think that remembering that things are limited, recognizing the brevity of life can be beneficial, help us appreciate our experiences we're having and focus on making the world we're in the present better.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Jordan Peterson, again, talking about the dangers of nihilism and people saying, well, in like 1 million years or 10 million years, like the sun will consume the earth and nothing will matter. So why does anything matter?
Right.
And it's not helpful or productive.
Yeah.
Those are some of my ramblings.
Yeah.
About Paul's thoughts.
Yeah, I think to me it was a bit unsettling because when you put numbers to things, when you say like, okay, I might only see this friend that lives across the country, I might only see him 3 more times in my life, right?
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast where this guy, he was in his 50s, and he was saying, I realized the other day, just looking at the arithmetic of it, that I really only see my parents 2 or 3 times a year because they're in LA and I'm in New York. I see them on Christmas, Thanksgiving, usually 1 or 2 other times. And he's like, my parents are 70. Let's assume they live to be 90, which is generous.
Mm-hmm.
That's 20 years times 3 if we're being generous. So I may only see my parents 60 more times before I die. And he's like, and that was really alarming to me.
Yeah.
And made me want to see my parents more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's an interesting practice with certain things to say, okay, like, yeah, just on the law of averages, how many more times will this maybe happen in my life? And maybe it'll help you appreciate things more. and help you be more present during things. Yeah. And also unique experiences. Like, listen, I'd love to have you back on the podcast again someday when your music is blowing up and you want to, you know, we have new topics we want to talk about. But who knows what'll happen? Maybe this is our only chat. Yeah. You know? And so it underscores the importance of being present and enjoying the moment, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's tempting to, well, okay, this comes to like a scriptural paradox I've been thinking about. You've got the story of Noah, which is about preparing for the future. Mm-hmm. You've got the parable of the 10 virgins, which is also about being prepared. Mm-hmm. But then you have Christ saying, take no thought for the morrow. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So which is it? Like, should I think about the future or not? Right. And the way I synthesize it is learn to be present as a preparation for your future. Like learning to be in the moment will help you in the future. Yeah. Well, we kind of, did we finish that?
Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to, and I tend to do this with all my guests, just ask if you had any questions for me.
I'm going to steal a question from another podcast I listen to, Pints with Aquinas. Mm-hmm. What is your least impressive hobby?
My least impressive hobby. As far as like my ability to thrive in that hobby?
No, just anything. Okay. Anything you do that's least impressive. Unimpressive.
Let's see. I have some hobbies I've abandoned that are maybe more obscure or unimpressive. Sure. I used to be really proficient with a yo-yo.
No way. Yeah. That's kind of impressive, actually, but that's a good answer.
Yeah, it's not getting me a lot of girls, and it's not
what.
But maybe it's because I haven't yo-yoed in a while. Maybe I need to bring it back. But yeah, I had a little phase, like probably like 6th to 8th grade, and I don't know, it was a little fad in my school, and yeah, I just got pretty good at a lot of yo-yo tricks, and most of them I can still do. I just haven't got better. The muscle memory is still there, but
cool. Yeah. Like describe them for me. The walk the dog thing.
Well, no, I mean that's amateur hour.
That's pretty basic.
But if you get like a kind of expensive yo-yo, we'll say like a $40-$50 yo-yo. I mean, they have ones that are hundreds of dollars.
Really?
But okay. They'll sleep longer, meaning you throw it down and it
they just spin at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they do that, then you can do crazy tricks. You can do all sorts of stuff. Okay. When you buy like a $5 yo-yo, it just comes right back up.
Right.
It doesn't sleep. So.
What year was this? Your yo-yo?
Era. This was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
This yo-yo.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think it was necessarily regional, but.
But it was a thing. It was a thing in my school.
Yeah, I was in Arizona at the time.
Okay.
But yeah.
Man, okay. Yeah. Yo-yos. Haven't thought about those in a while.
I know, neither have I. I'm trying to think. There's for sure some other unimpressive things that I'm into.
Okay.
I'm very into, it could be classified as a hobby, but it's maybe more of a weird obsession. I tend to document and make lists of so many things in my life. So like I have written down every restaurant I've ever been to since I started making the list.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that in the future you can recommend things to people?
There's a few reasons. Yeah. I think because I do it, it makes me want to try new restaurants to add to the list. Mm-hmm. So it makes me not become such a creature of habit, because I do the same thing with movies, with books.
Yeah.
And it's And it also, you know what else it does? It makes it so if I go to a restaurant and it's horrible, I'm like, well, I still get to add it to my list.
There you go.
It's a little silver
Get
lining.
something out of it.
Yeah. And it helps my memory. It makes it so someone's like, oh, have you ever tried this? I'm like, oh, yeah, I have.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird, but.
That is weird, but cool. It sounds like a lot of work.
It's not now. But, if you started now, like it would be a lot of you know backlog. But I started when I was like 14.
Oh.
And we didn't have a ton of money growing up, so we didn't eat at a ton of restaurants. So it was like all the fast food places. Sure. And then, as I got older and traveled more, I was like, well, this should be fun to kind of keep track of and be able to say, I've been to X amount of restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got your states.
Got my states.
Have you done all 50?
I'm missing Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm close.
Yeah. We should go.
Yeah.
Hit up Alaska sometime.
Yeah, I'm down.
My brother's up there right now.
Oh, really?
Driving tour buses. He and his wife went up for their summer job.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go in the summer, so if it's not this summer, it's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got your states, your lists, yo-yo.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
You know, I always played basketball in high school and still playing rec leagues and stuff, and I always like wrote down like my stats from the games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, just mostly just points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like
blocks.
Yeah.
Assists.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
And I think it's a little bit tied in with an obsession with journaling and just documenting life and but yeah, it's fun. I love it. And I have all these separate notebooks, and then when I'm on the go, I just make notes on my phone and
yeah. How often do you go back and read journals or go look through your old notes?
I don't know. That's a good question. Just every once in a while. Like they don't sit and gather dust and I never look at them. But I actually this is an interesting thing I'm in the process of doing. I have my like LDS mission journals, right? And I wrote every day. So there's like 4 of them.
Yeah. Where were you on your mission?
I went to Brazil.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I'm going back and I'm typing them up, but I'm also adding my own commentary. Just because it's funny. It's like, these are all my thoughts when I was 19.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to go back and be like, oh, I didn't even add like what I was actually feeling about this. I was just talking about an event that happened, you know?
Yep.
And so it jogs my memory and it's just a fun exercise. It's not like I think anyone, like I doubt I'll ever publish them or anything, but yeah, it's been fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would read that if you did, but
no, I don't think so. But maybe if I'm uber famous one day, people want to read everything.
Yeah.
You know?
It could happen.
Could happen.
Who knows?
So, well, Ben, thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
This was really pleasant.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. No punches were thrown.
No, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, I had a good time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man.
Appreciate it.
Your song Geneva just came out. Is that the full title?
Fly to Geneva.
Fly to Geneva.
Yeah, it came out a week ago.
Awesome. Are you working on an album right now, or are you just kind of song by song?
I have a few albums in the works.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been releasing in a very organized way, but who knows if that matters.
Yeah.
So I made an album with Eric Robertson, who's a composer, lives in Provo, does really cool work. So those are 8 tracks. We've released most of them, but we'll release them like as an album coming up shortly. And then I've got a collection of songs from the breakup many moons ago that I'm still going to be releasing. And then I've got a new collection of songs, these fictional love songs, and Fly to Geneva is kind of in that. They're more like traditional folksy. So yeah, there's more music coming, and I'll release it at some point soonish.
That's terrific. Well, yeah, we'll put all your links to your Spotify and Apple music and stuff in the show notes. If you had I know people have said Brandon Flowers, but are there other artists that you feel like, man, this is my exact type of music that you maybe have tried to emulate, or you feel like are kind of contemporaries?
Music that I want to emulate,
or just that have a very similar sound as you.
Oh, it's kind of hard to answer. Other people might answer it better because I'm so close to my music, you know, and I've heard it so much that it's kind of hard to see.
You know who I thought
things clearly
when I was listening? Do you know?
Tell me.
Do you know who Benjamin Francis Leftwich is?
Oh, love him.
Yeah,
yes.
I kind of got some vibes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love hearing what other people think.
Right. And it's not always like that you have super similar voices, but I don't know, just kind of the storytelling, and there's a softness about your music.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Sweet, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay.